Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at a different kind of Sterbebild, or death card, from what we've normally looked at on the channel. Typically we cover cards for soldiers that were killed in combat. However, this will be the start of a new series. I don't have many of these cards, but I do try to get them as they come up. And it's all going to be based on civilian casualties of the war. So I think I'll call the series The Cost of War, Civilian Death Cards, or Civilian Sterbebild. So we'll jump right into this one. This is for the Trollman family. In pious remembrance and holy prayer for Mina Trollman, born February 2nd, 1901, in Megaheim. Eleonora Trollman, born July 17th, 1931. Rudy Trollman, born February 25th, 1934, in Oettingen. Helga Trollman, born July 7th, 1937. Killed in the air raid on Oettingen on February 23, 1945. O Lord, grant them eternal rest, and let perpetual light shine upon them. Our Father, Hail Mary. I'll flip it over and take a look at the backside and read that translation, and then I'll go into the details that I found about this air raid. Behold the man. I am the resurrection and the life. And then on the second side, be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. So unfortunately, throughout World War II, starting very early on, civilians were always unfortunately brought into this, just as many wars, but with modern machinery and air power and all of that comes with it, civilians were not spared, and in many situations they were targeted. So the group that carried out the air raid on Oettingen on February 23rd was the 401st and the 457th Bomber Groups. They were part of the 1st Air Division, which was attached to the 8th Air Force. The raid itself was part of Operation Clarion. It was a 2-day campaign to disrupt and destroy German transportation and infrastructure. They encountered almost no opposition from the Luftwaffe. So I did try to do a little bit of digging on this raid. And typically, when you talk about the big raids like Hamburg, Dresden, Pforzheim, any of those large cities, Berlin, whatever, it's very easy to find a lot of detail and multiple sites talking about this. In this case, I actually had to go to the Oettingen city website. So for reference, if anyone wants to read it for themselves or go to the website and see my sources, this is directly from the website for the city or village of Oettingen. And I'll read it as this is all quote. In the early morning hours of February 23rd, 1945, 12 bomber groups of the 1st Air Division, comprising of 460 B-17 Flying Fortresses, took off from airfields in southern England as part of Operation Clarion. Their targets included Ega, Bamberg, Bayreuth, Plauen, and Zwickau. However, a solid cloud cover prevented the American bomber formations from attacking their intended targets. The 351st, 457th, and 401st Bomber Groups, which were to attack Ega and Bamberg, broke up. The 401st and 457th circled Nuremberg to initiate the attack on Oettingen. As early as 10:30 a.m., an aircraft marked the town with its 2 bridges and train station as the targets. At 12:26, disaster struck Oettingen. 47 B-17s dropped around 500 bombs. This devastating attack claimed approximately 200 lives, injured another 100, and left about 700 people homeless. Among the dead were also bombing evacuees from the Ruhr region, who had sought refuge in Oettingen. The railway and road bridges were hit. The railway facilities were destroyed, and around 300 buildings were completely or partially destroyed. The lower suburbs and the area around the train station were particularly affected. Despite a ban, Oettingen photographer Josef Fischer documented the destruction in the town, thus preserving a harrowing record of this catastrophe. So that's about the extent of the information I was able to pull on this raid. Again, these smaller raids, almost no large towns or cities were spared throughout the war from the Allied bombing campaign. So it can be hard to find information or a lot of detail on the smaller towns and the smaller raids. When you're talking about this one, 200 lives is relatively small compared to some of the horrific raids that, used extensive fire bombings and killed, tens of thousands of people. Unfortunately, The Trollman family lost seemingly everyone at home that was still there, the mother and her 3 children. I really don't have much else to say about this. It's really an unfortunate aspect of the war, but the way I look at these death cards, whether it's the soldiers or the civilians, if we don't continue to tell their story and allow it to be out there, then they are forgotten to history, and I think that's a real shame. I mean, this is a sad subject, obviously, especially when you look at this and you're dealing with children and whatnot, but yeah, the idea of their stories being completely forgotten and lost to time, that's even more sad to me. So anyway, this isn't obviously as informative as far as unit histories and battles and glory and, so to speak, things like that, but it is the harsh reality of war. So I hope you guys were able to enjoy this video. I won't be able to do these videos all too often. Again, civilian death cards don't come up terribly often, and when they do, they tend to charge a bit of a premium, but I try to go at them when I can. So I do have a few other ones in my collection, but I'll try to spread them out a little bit more. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoy and have a great rest of the day.